presentation actually is going to be very fast. It's not as detailed as Mr. Stickley's presentation. Maybe it will have some aspects just to show what's going on now in Cairo, Egypt, in regards to urban transformation. Urban transformation is usually a change that happens, changing the image of the city from one stage to the other. These are just some observations that I made over the last year. Very brief presentation on that and how things are transforming. In terms how the city will look like, we sometimes see some of these kind of mega structures just popping up against the traditional skyline of the city. This, for example, this photo was taken from downtown Cairo, maybe very close to where you are living right now, on top of one of the historical buildings that was built, I think, not really historical, I think 60 or 70 years ago, and showing how things are transforming very fast in Cairo. Is this healthy or not? I don't know. I'm just posing the questions, some questions for the discussion maybe later on for tonight. So there's a lot of questions that are popping up these days, over the last 2 years actually, or even 3 years. We're talking about transformation, we're talking about heritage, we're talking about progress. Is progress overruling everything, or what? Do we need a dialogue in order to see how things are transforming in Cairo, in terms of urban transformation? What kind of mutations happening within our urban fabric and culture? Are we talking about participation of community participation, or are we talking about alienation of disciplines? And of course, people living in Cairo and Egypt who relate to this. So it's bridges, more bridges, more bridges, more bridges, and more bridges. So I think over the last 3 or 4 years, we kind of broke the record in terms of 40 plus, I don't know, there is a record. And this is to show the extent of bridges that we have. So it's kind of an opposite thing to your presentation, actually, to the other. So a few minutes ago, so this is a famous picture of a flyover somewhere in Giza, I think. And then now we have even multi-levels of bridges in Cairo. Perhaps it's an aggressive solution to a very, very old problem in terms of congestion, traffic congestion, time wasted in traffic and so on and so forth. But it's very aggressive. It's kind of really turns down everything nice that once stood. So this is actually a picture from Heliopolis. So I call it Once Upon a Time in Heliopolis. It's not that far away. It's only 3 or 4 years ago. Heliopolis is a district in Cairo that was built, I think, or started 1907.
Yes.
Or 1905 by a Belgian.
It's my PhD.
Yes. So good. It was developed initially by a Belgian baron who was very famous. He kind of introduced the tram. It became a very vibrant and very nice society. Everybody was proud to be one. I mean, the people lived there. That's another picture. Again, once upon a time in Heliopolis, you see this kind of scale in terms of roads, greenery, trees. And then we have this. So that's the same street, but fast forward, this is 2021, 2022. That's the way it is now. I, for example, used to live there in this area, but now when I go there, usually I get lost because of the kind of transformation that took place. So yeah, that's another question. At that time, it was kind of being replicated, something that was really replicated everywhere in the districts in Cairo, in order to make a way to give solutions for transit and transportation. So this is, for example, another district called Nasr City. Had some of its streets had this kind of boulevards with trees, but now trees are actually mostly gone. So yeah. Another point that I would raise in this presentation, that's heritage. Sometimes we feel that heritage is being crushed, sometimes maybe yes, maybe no, just raising questions here. And this is actually very close to the workshop site, Qurqumass, very close to it. So basically that used to be a historical, say, graveyard, cemeteries of the time of Mamluks, and then fast forward, the city of the dead, called the city of the dead. And I think it was 2020 when they decided, or it was decided that a major arterial development, arterial road, to be developed in this location. And to do so, they had to widen the street. And accordingly, many of these graveyards were demolished and relocated somewhere else. So this is again a question of shouldn't we take care of it? This is actually very close to our faculty.
Some of them was historical.
Some of them were historical, yes. And then going back to Heliopolis about the bridges again, but this one, the community was powerful enough to start. So this is like building a bridge for the Baron. Well, I mean, this is it's kind of a mockery. This is a very famous cathedral there, Basilique Cathedral, where actually I think the Baron is buried.
Actually, it's a replica of the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul.
Yes.
It's a small
A small replica. And it's a very famous landmark there. Everybody's proud about having this place with the basilica there. And then there was the rumor, which might not be really a rumor because we have a claim already that started, that there is going to be a bridge to be built somewhere. But then there was the power of the collective action. Something kind of clicked. The people of Heliopolis kind of realized that this is happening, and we started a counter campaign, let's call it this way. A lot of mockeries were there, even these kind of comics were built, were drawn showing a bridge passing through the basilica, as you can see. So this was a kind of a counter reaction that took place by the community, and even the Society of Architects announced that they kind of reject what's happening, and luckily it stopped. That was maybe the power of social networking caused a halt for this intervention. And then there was another thing that kind of stopped. Zamalek, yes. Zamalek is actually an island in the Nile. It's very famous for being a very delicate, elegant also place with a lot of greenery and good landscape, building and so on. And then there was this idea of building a replica of London Eye, just call it the Cairo Eye. But again it was stopped because there was a counter reaction by the residents of Zamalek, and so many people kind of started talking against the idea, and even in the parliament some of the MPs raised the issue and we stopped. So this never happened. It's just an illustration of this. So this is again something that took place in Cairo. So again, that would lead us to this question: development versus society. Do we need development, but what kind of development do we need? Or maybe both of them. We need something that would bring both issues together. This is another example, but well, I didn't really elaborate much on that because it needs a separate lecture to talk about this particular case study about Maspiro. Maspiro is a triangle in downtown Cairo, again, very close to where we're staying right now. It overlooks the Nile, but it used to be hosting a community of informal, well, they call it an informal area. There is a long history about that.
Actually, it was a historic area. It used to be the main port for Cairo. So for several years, since the 13th century, since the Mamluk era. So it used to be the main port for seeds coming from Upper Egypt and so to be distributed to the whole areas of Cairo. So people there are used to work as to carry these seeds and put them on the back of the camels and then distribute it all over the city. So that was the main profession for this area historically. Of course, it was deteriorated and in a bad situation, but still historic.
So there was a very large discussion about what to do with the trajectory for several years, even an entire decade, and at a certain point there was even this initiative to redevelop it in such a way to keep the initial urban fabric, enhance it through an international competition, something again went the other side went from, and instead this is not what is built now. That was one of the proposals, but what is being implemented is
much worse.
Also,
much worse.
Much worse. Horrible. But you can pass by it. I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure. No. It was not one of
the winning.
Not one of the winning. No.
Not even the Egyptian proposal.
No, not the Egyptian proposal.
No.
I was just showing it as an example of what's happening. I think the Egyptian, what's being constructed now is, I don't know.
It's even different from the design.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But of course, there should always be a bright side. And again, this is just to stir the discussion for later on. Maybe there is a lot of rejuvenating the downtown, for example. This picture was taken last year during the Mummies Parade, actually 2 years ago during the Mummies Parade, trying to redevelop the public space in downtown Cairo. It depends, again, there's a lot of opinions about that. Is it good, is it bad? But there was at least a glimpse of something. Again, the question here is, or raising this idea, mobility projects and infrastructure make daily life easy, because many people who lived in Heliopolis, and after introducing the bridges to them, they say, well, we're happy like that. We're happy now. We don't have to get stuck in traffic for hours and hours. On the other hand, many of us who come from the planning, the architecture, urban design community, we think that this was a crime. We saw about the bridges and so on and so forth. So the question here is like, okay, maybe mobility projects could help, but we need to keep our heritage, our society, our environment intact. So this is also something to bear in mind. Sometimes even more infrastructure for transit are being constructed, like the monorail now. And this is an old picture because now I was there today and it's almost done. So this is again for mass transit that is taking place, and it's not really affecting built environment. Well, it does, but in some places.
It will later.
There is no parking.
And it will later actually. It will later affect.
It will later
yes,
affect.
of course, because the stations are going to, create certain dynamics that we're not prepared for. So it's
so this awful skyline.
Yeah, the skyline is destroyed now.
yeah, that's true.
There is one. Stadium. And the suspended bridge, this is another mobility project, someone else, or let's say infrastructure project. So anyway, I'm just showing some examples very fast. Let's hope maybe the future is bright, but we need to reorganize the priorities, and reorganize what should be done in a better way. And as I promised, it's a very fast presentation, so I'm done. Thank you very much.